The moment the power dies in winter, the clock starts ticking. And most people don't realize how short that clock actually is. Not days, sometimes hours. Your house doesn't get cold. It bleeds heat like an open artery. And once indoor temperatures drop below a certain point, hypothermia doesn't announce itself. It just quietly takes you out while you're still arguing with yourself about lighting a candle. Here's the thing nobody tells you. Electricity never created heat. Gravity did. Long before grids, generators, or thermostats, humans learned how to make gravity move warmth through stone, water, and air, silently, endlessly, with no switches to flip and nothing to reboot. And in a blackout that doesn't end, gravity becomes the only utility that still shows up to work. Picture a house on the slope, even a shallow one, because gravity doesn't need drama to do its job. At the highest point in that house sits a simple tank of water, not boiling, not pressurized, just heavy. Water is a thermal battery most people walk past every day without realizing it. It absorbs heat slowly, holds it stubbornly, and gives it back on its own terms. When you heat water, even modestly, with sunlight, a wood fire, a rocket stove, or waste heat from cooking, gravity takes over from there. Warm water naturally wants to rise, cold water sinks, and that difference alone creates circulation. No pump, no electricity, just physics doing what it has done since the planet cooled. As that warm water flows downward through pipes embedded in floors or walls, it releases heat gradually, evenly, like the house itself is breathing warmth back into you. This is the same principle behind ancient Roman hypohausts and old gravity-fed radiator systems that still sit dormant in abandoned buildings, waiting for someone to remember how they worked. But here's where most modern survival advice screws up. They focus on creating heat, not controlling it. Fire is easy. Containment is hard. Gravity-fed heating doesn't blast heat at you. It sneaks it into the structure itself. Stone, brick, concrete, packed earth. These materials don't care if the grid is down. They absorb heat and refuse to let it go quickly. When warm water runs through channels beneath a floor, that floor becomes a massive thermal flywheel. Even when the fire goes out, the heat keeps moving, spreading, lingering. You're not heating air, which escapes the second you crack a door. You're heating mass, which stays put like it knows winter. Personally, now listen carefully, because this is where gravity becomes a weapon against cold instead of just a convenience. Hot air rises, cold air sinks. Everyone knows that, but almost nobody designs their shelter around it during a crisis. In a gravity-powered heating setup, warm air generated low in the structure is allowed to rise naturally through vertical channels, stairwells, or even simple vent paths cut into walls. As it rises, it displaces colder air, forcing it downward toward intake zones near the floor, where it can be reheated. This creates a passive convection loop. No fans, no motors, just density differences doing laps around your living space. Medieval castles use this. Submarines still rely on it in emergencies. You can feel it working when you stand barefoot on a warm floor, while the air around your shoulders stays just cool enough to breathe comfortably. Water doesn't just move heat, it protects it. A gravity-fed system can route warm water through insulated walls, under benches, even behind sleeping platforms. You're turning the building into a heat sponge that releases energy slowly over time. And because gravity never turns off, the circulation never truly stops as long as there's a temperature difference. This means you don't need constant fire. You need pulses of heat, short burns, controlled input. Let the mass do the rest. This is how people survived alpine winters before insulation foam and gas lines. This section is based on practical field survival experience rather than formal academic sources. Now comes the part that makes modern engineers uncomfortable. You don't actually need metal radiators or factory-built components. Clay pipes, copper scavenged from dead appliances, even sealed ceramic channels can work. Gravity doesn't care about brand names. It cares about height difference and continuity. As long as your heat source sits lower than your storage tank and your return line allows cooled water to fall back down, the loop completes itself. Break the loop and the system dies. Respect it and it runs forever. The danger isn't explosion or pressure like modern systems. The danger is freezing. If water stops moving and freezes, it expands, cracks everything, and gravity laughs while your system destroys itself. That's why these setups are designed to keep water moving slowly at all times, even at night, even when you're asleep. Cold climates taught another lesson the hard way. Heat the people, not the room. Gravity-powered systems shine here because they warm contact surfaces, floors, walls, benches. Your body loses heat fastest where it touches cold material. Warm that material, and suddenly 50 degrees feels survivable instead of lethal. You stop shivering, your metabolism stops panicking. You think more clearly, That mental clarity is survival, not comfort. This is the difference between waiting out winter and becoming a statistic someone else reads about later. There's also a brutal psychological advantage to silent heat: no roaring fire, no constant feeding, no light that advertises your position in a collapse scenario. Gravity doesn't glow. It doesn't make noise. It doesn't smell. In a world where attention can be dangerous, passive systems keep you alive without announcing it. Old military shelters were designed this way for a reason. Heat without signatures is heat that doesn't invite problems. And let's talk about failure, because every system fails eventually. Gravity systems fail slowly. You don't wake up frozen, you notice the floor cooling, the water tank losing warmth. You have time to respond, add heat, clear a blockage, insulate a weak point. Compare that to electric heaters that fail instantly and leave you scrambling in the dark. In survival, gradual failure is mercy. Here's the uncomfortable truth most people avoid. Modern homes are hostile to survival. They're designed to be dependent. Gravity-powered heating flips that relationship. It makes your environment work for you instead of against you. You stop fighting physics and start recruiting it. Height becomes energy. Weight becomes storage. Time becomes an ally instead of an enemy counting down. If you're still thinking this sounds old-fashioned, good. Old-fashioned kept people alive when there were no emergency numbers to dial. When the grid stays down and the temperature keeps falling, gravity will still be there, pulling water downhill, moving warmth through stone, quietly doing the job, electricity abandoned. And once you've felt that kind of heat, slow, deep, reliable, you'll never trust a glowing coil or humming furnace the same way again.